The goal in the transport sector is right now to change the fossil fuels by other sources of energy. And we have seen in previous videos that some alternatives can be, for example, generating new energy sources like, for example, hydrogen, new fuels. But there are all other strategies, for example, electric car, that in some cases can be more interesting. In this video, we will understand what is the current state of the art of this technology, and we will see in which cases this technology can offer an alternative. Well, let's start by seeing what is an electric car. It's a standard vehicle like the internal combustion vehicle, but we have replaced it. In this case, the energy source that usually is the gasoline by another energy source that is the battery. Okay, the battery is not an energy source by itself, but it's just a place where we store energy, and we need to charge it from somewhere. And this is what is done when we connect the electric vehicle in the electrical grid. When we do this, we are taking the energy that is generated from a power plant, and we are storing in our batteries that then will release the energy when we use the vehicle. Okay, the question is that depending on the power plant, the impact of this technology will be higher or lower, because if we charge our batteries with standard fossil fuel plants, we are just changing the place where we burn the fossil fuel. Instead of doing in the vehicle, in the internal combustion vehicles, we will do it in the power plant, but we will burn fossil fuels to obtain the energy. So in this case, if we do this, we are not getting an improvement we are not reducing our impact, because we still burning fossil fuels. The interesting situation would be to charge our vehicle with a renewable energy, like, for example, hydropower, solar power, or wind power. In these cases, when we generate the energy, we are not generating carbon dioxide, so we are not having an impact in terms of greenhouse effect. So in these cases, the electric vehicle offers an alternative that is more interesting than the standard cars. Well, a second property that makes electric cars interesting is that in the city, usually, so this is interesting for the city, when we break the car, the electric car is able to restore again the energy into the battery. So this energy is restored, and then it can be used again when we accelerate again the car. So this system is called a kinetic energy recovery system, or CERS, is a second property of the electric cars that makes this technology more interesting. Well, we have seen that it's very important knowing which is the origin of our energy when we have an electric vehicle, because if we don't know it, maybe we think that we are more sustainable, but in fact maybe we are not. So this is the case, for example, of countries that obtains the electric energy mostly from burning coal. And these are the cases of, for example, Poland or China. In these two countries, most of the energy, the electric energy, is generated by burning this coal. And this means that if we plug our electric vehicle in this grid, in fact, we are contaminating more. We are emitting more carbon dioxide than using a standard vehicle, a standard gasoline vehicle, because in order to get the same energy, we need to burn more coal, because it's not as efficient as gasoline, and also coal is emits more carbon dioxide. So in this situation, the electric vehicle is not better but worse than gasoline vehicles. Well, in other regions like standard, like in most of Europe countries and North America countries, we have a mix of energy that obtains the electric power from different sources. But in these countries, the amount of energy that it's afforded by fossil fuel is still very high. We don't burn so much coal, but we burn, for example, natural gas, methane, and once again, with this mix, in this case, a gasoline car and an electric car are, maybe the electric car is a little bit better, but it's not much better than a gasoline vehicle, because in this case, as you can see, still fossil fuels are very important in the energy mix of our electric grid. Well, we have other countries that have bet for other sources, like, for example, nuclear power. In these cases, these countries, like, for example, France or Sweden, they have been able to remove completely the fossil fuels from the energy mix. And in this case, as nuclear power do not emit carbon dioxide, plugging our car in our electric grid, in this case, will be a benefit, because we will be replacing the burning of gasoline in our vehicle by the generation of energy in our nuclear plants. So in this case, the electric vehicles reduce the impact respect the gasoline one. Okay, and there are finally countries that has enough renewable energy that they don't need neither fossil fuels, neither nuclear power. These are the case of Norway or Denmark, for example, that has a large amount, so they can provide high power with just wind power or hydropower, depending on the country. There are usually countries that they don't need so much energy, like, for example, Germany or United States, but they are able to generate their energy from these sources. In this case, plugging our car is much interesting, because in this case, all the energy will be renewable. Well, now we have seen the situation of the different regions respect the energy mix, but there is another thing that we have to analyze when we think about the electric vehicle. That is, if we want to plug all our cars in the network, we will need to increase our network power in order to be able to generate all this extra energy. And if you compare in the world the amount of energy that we have right now as electric power and the amount of energy that we are using in transport, you can see that is of the same order. And this means that if we want to plug all our transport devices in the network, we will need to duplicate our network power. And this means that we will need to duplicate our power plants. We will need to build new power plants in order to duplicate our electric power. And this is a thing that cannot be done in a couple of years. So this is something that we need much time to do it, because building a power plant is not an easy task. So we need to plan it. So it's not just let's fabricate all the vehicles that we need and just plug it. We need to just think about a plan to increase all our electricity power in order to be able to plug all this energy into the electric grid. And remember, not all our current electric power is from sustainable energies or from sources that do not emit carbon dioxide, but most of them is from fossil fuels. This means that the second thing that we will need to do is to change our power plants, our fossil fuels power plants with other sources that can generate the same energy without emitting carbon dioxide. So this means that we need to change a lot of energy sources, the one of transport and some part of our power plants, and once again this complicates the situation. We will need much time in order to make this replacement. So this need a plan in a lot of years in order to do this. So when you think about the electric vehicle, you must think that is not just getting the vehicle. So the important thing is to have a plan in order to be able to give energy to this vehicle. Okay, so the plan is to change these fossil fuel plants with new power plants and build more and more power plants in order to get to the required power. Okay, another strategy would be not to provide the energy from the grid, but that everybody provides itself energy. And this can be done if we put, for example, solar panels in our houses. In this case, we would be able to charge our car just by the use of our solar panels. And okay, this is a very interesting thing because you are not requiring more energy to your electric grid. And there is a second good thing of this, that in the case that we don't have the possibility to generate power because, for example, we have a cloudy day. In this case, if we have the car that has stored energy in the previous hours, maybe we can use it in our house if we don't need the car. And this offers a new alternative to energy management that allows the pass of energy from the car to the houses, and this also makes possible to reduce the energy requirements to our electric grid. So passing the energy from the car to the houses is also an interesting thing that electric cars can provide. Okay, in conclusion, we have seen that an electric car can replace the standard combustion engines with another technology that is able to reduce the impact if we charge the batteries with low emission sources. And in order to be able to do this, we need to increase our power, the power that we can provide from low energy sources in our electric grid, replacing all the power plants that are generating the energy from the fossil fuels.